Hi, this is Roy Michael, and I'm here to tell you how I got a real good increase in gas mileage and power on my 2004 Grand Cherokee Freedom Edition with a 4-liter engine. Now, the 4-liter Jeep engine is, in my belief, one of the strongest and most reliable engines that's ever been put in a vehicle. Now, this one's got about 150,000 miles on it, and I bought it about 6-8 months ago. And it just didn't have the power that I was used to. This is my 7th Jeep. All but one has been a 4.0. And they were quicker off the line, and they had a little bit better power on the highway. So I started doing a lot of research and figured out maybe if I do these things, it'll help that out. I spent just a little less than $500, and let me show you what I did. There was no gimmicks, no magnets, no crap like that. Started out with the fuel injectors. Now, the fuel injectors in this, I looked at them, and they looked to be 20 years old. So I don't know how much gunk was built up in there and the like. And then I noticed while searching the internet that the factory ones had one hole in them, and then there was a company that was rebuilding them and putting 4 holes in them with the idea that it was going to atomize the gasoline so that it was spread much more evenly when it entered the combustion chamber. That kind of made sense, but the reason why I really went with them, they cost the same as a brand new set of 1-holers. So I put those in. It was just a lot of cranking. You got to pull a lot of this stuff off, pop the new ones in, and you're good to go. Okay. The second thing I did, now that I've got better gas coming in, I wanted it to burn better. Now, this one originally had that long bar that had the 4 coils in it, and that's what fed, and it was in the way of everything, and it was 20 years old also, so I figured, let's try something better. So I bought this. This is a single coil, comes with brand new wires, bolts right up to the motor mount and to the block, and it's supposed to give a much better charge. So now I've got more electrical, right? More electricity going into the spark plugs. Speaking of the spark plugs, the coil people said that they wanted me to put in dual platinum plugs. Now, platinum is one of the best conductors of electricity there is, and the dual platinum means that both sides, from where the spark jumps to the other side, is going platinum to platinum, so it's got the much better connectivity. They also said to gap them at 40, which gives you a little bit bigger gap, a little bit bigger spark, and that's supposed to really help. Made sense. Now, I really lucked out because Walmart had a sale on the exact spark plugs this needed, and apparently they had way too many of them in the, I can't talk today, sorry about that, way too many of them in the in inventory. I got them for $4.50 a piece, where they were normally, $16? So that was a good deal. I was real happy with that. So the next thing I did, since I'm looking for more electricity, more power, I was reading on a thing about the new, putting a brand new set of battery cables on. Now, this thing has 7 battery cables. I didn't know that. I figured 4 at most, but it had 7. Bought the kit, and they're all marked on where they go. There was a real good video on YouTube that showed exactly how to put them in. One of the tougher things to do was down here. You can see where you have to cut a little hole in here to run this, but it runs them underneath, and it's very, very clean operation. Didn't have any real problem with it. Now, we all know you don't buy a Jeep for gas mileage, and I was looking for gas mileage and power, and like they say, man plans, God laughs. So first couple of tankfuls was mostly city driving. I had been running about 13.5 miles to the gallon. And after 2 tankfuls of city driving, I was getting 15.5. I was real happy with that. And one thing was, off the line, I had much more power. I could really feel the difference. It wasn't but about a few weeks later, my wife and I decided to do a trip to Vegas, up to Beatty, Nevada, across to Death Valley, and back down to Southern California. So we headed out to Vegas, spent 3 days in Vegas, did a lot of city driving around there, checking out the sights. I had lived there for 15 years, so I had some old haunts I wanted to check out. So we left Vegas, headed up 95 interstate, or State Road 95, heading up to Beatty, which is just a straight, long, flat, beautiful run through the mountains. And I was about 15 miles out of Vegas, and there was an RV in front of me in my lane. Speed limit was 70. I had my cruise set on 74. So I decided, well, I'm going to pass this guy. So I got up, close behind him, turned on my left turn signal, and punched it. And man, oh man, I got that throw you in the back seat feel. Like, wow, this really makes a difference. Apparently at the higher RPMs, the changes that I made really kicked it up there. So, of course, I had to pass a few more cars, just to check it out and make sure it was real. And I tell you, the power was there. So we got to Beatty, stayed overnight, got up the next morning, headed out to Death Valley. Tooled around Death Valley a lot, been there a few times. We got some favorite places we like to go there. Headed back to Southern California, and I checked the gas mileage for the whole trip. I got 22.5 miles per gallon, where before that, 15.5, 16 was tops. So I was really, really impressed with that. So these changes really made a big difference, and the whole thing was less than $500. A lot of, cranking wrenches, but if you own a Jeep, you better get used to cranking wrenches, okay? So real happy with that. Spent less than $500, and it worked out. Now let me give you some background about this Jeep. This is a 2004 Freedom Edition two-wheel drive. Now this is my 7th Jeep. Pretty much half of them Grand Cherokees, the other half XJs. The vehicle is in beautiful condition. Found the story on it. It was a one-owner car. Guy owned it for 19 years. My guess is a grocery getter because it averaged less than 8,000 miles a year. So it wasn't a commuter car, And it sure looks like it's garage kept. You can tell by the shine on this. I did a full wax job on it when I bought it, and it just looks beautiful. Now, this guy had it, came out one morning, started it up, and it was rumble. Looked under the car. Somebody had stolen the catalytic converters. Catalytic converters on this are $3,000 if you've ever priced them. So his best buddy was the general manager of a fleet servicing company. Fleet services all the construction vehicles and vehicles like that for companies and stuff. So he bought it from his buddy. Buddy said, hey, it's not worth, it's worth about $3,000, but it needs $3,000 worth of work. Give me $100 and it's yours. And the guy bought it. So he took it to his shop and told the guys, this is going to be my regular driving vehicle for picking up parts and stuff like that. So, go from stem to stern and replace what's needed. From what I can tell, it's got brand new disc pads all the way around, 2 front rotors. Looks like there was some tie rod work and replacements underneath the front end of it. They replaced every filter and replaced all the fluids. And I tell you, there's really nothing much to do on this, except it wasn't getting the mileage and the power, and we sure saved that. Now this is a Freedom Edition, which I wasn't really aware of when I bought it. You can tell from the back here that it looks a little higher. Freedom Edition came with the Town and Country suspension. You see those big gas shocks there? And you've got a big gas shock up front. Really has a wonderful suspension on it. Another thing I like about it, cloth interior. Don't want leather out in the desert. I go out to the Mojave and the Sonoran quite a lot. As you can see, the interior is absolutely perfect. The only real thing wrong with it, the headliner's all screwed up. So I priced a headliner, and man, it was $1,300. So I decided, well, what am I going to do? Spend $1,300? Or maybe when I'm driving, I just don't look up. I chose the don't look up. Now this thing is pretty much fully loaded except for a sunroof, which is great because I'm 6'2", so I don't really care for sunroofs. Got the killer Jeep stereo that they all have. Came with the heavy duty mats. And as you can see, it's just absolutely as clean as can be. So I couldn't be happier with it. So after driving it for a while, I had it at the shop and we were just, checking some things out to make sure everything was okay. And I noticed this thing is single track rear. It's not posi. It's not a Detroit locker. Now, I bought this to head out into the desert. And the decision to buy a two-wheel drive was really based on the price and the condition of this thing. And to be honest, I haven't had to use four-wheel drive in years and years. My first couple of Jeeps, man, I was all over the place climbing stuff like this, being a good Jeeper. But I really didn't. So when I saw this on the price and the condition and everything is, I bought it. But I didn't realize it was two-wheel. It was single-wheel. So I went on the net and I found a thing called a lunchbox. I think that's what they call it. And it basically converts it to a Detroit locker. So I had that done. That was a little more than I wanted to spend, but I didn't want to go out with a single-wheel drive. After we put that in, on the way home, I was making a slow right turn, and I heard that chirp in the back. You know what I'm talking about? And I was like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling better. So I took it out to one of the roads out by Amboy, California, that I know that's up and down and up and down, and it's all gravelly and it's, kind of rough. And it handled it like a champ. So I got no worries with that as far as being able to go out. Like I said, I don't climb stuff like this anymore, So I've been real happy with the Jeep. I think I'm going to keep this one for a long time. Of course, I said that about the last 2 or 3 Jeeps. So my wife says, when I told her that, she says, yeah, right. So, real happy with the vehicle. It's very attractive. It's in super clean shape. And I don't have a lot of money in it. So if you got friends with 4.0s, show them this video if they want the extra power and the extra gas mileage. But I tell you, on the highway, when I punched it, it threw me in the back seat. All right, so you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching.